Sayın Rektörüm, Deniz Kuvvetleri Seyir Hidrografi ve Oceanography Dairesi Başkanı, bakanlıklarımızın değerli yöneticileri, akademisyenler ve genç bilim insanları. Türkiye'nin Birleşmiş Milletler Okyanus Bilimleri 10 yılına ilişkin katkılarının ele alınacağı ve ODTÜ Deniz Bilimleri Enstitüsü ev sahipliğinde Seyir Hidrografi ve Oceanography Dairesi Başkanlığı koordinasyonunda ve tüm ulusal deniz bilimleri kurumlarımızın katkılarıyla organize edilen uluslararası konferansımıza hoş geldiniz. Konferans Teşekkürler. Konferans aynı zamanda Cumhuriyetimizin 100. yılında 100 etkinlik programı altında organize edilmektedir. Etkinlik dili İngilizce olacaktır ve çeviri hizmetimiz mevcuttur. Salonun dışından kulaklıklarınızı alabilirsiniz. Dear honorable speakers, distinguished participants, welcome to the international conference organized by Middle East Technical University's Institute of Marine Sciences under the coordination of the Office of Navigation, Hydrography and Oceanography, with the contribution from all of our national marine science institutions. The conference will address Turkey's contribution to the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science and Sustainable Development. As we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of our Republic of Türkiye, we are happy to organize this event as a part of the 100 events in celebration of 100 years. Today, we'll focus on 7 Ocean Decade outcomes in 3 sessions, and we'll discuss the science and future steps needed for the ocean we want. We'll start with the opening talks and the keynote speeches. Now, I would like to invite METU Rector Professor Dr. Mustafa Verşan for his opening talk.
Well, dear United Nations delegate, dear representatives of our public institutions and all distinguished guests, it's a great honor to welcome you to Middle East Technical University as we gather to discuss and standardize for Turkey's contribution to the United Nations Ocean Decade. As the president of METU, it's a privilege to host this important conference organized with the support of Office of Navigation, Hydrography, and Oceanography in line with the decision taken at the 2022 Navigation, Hydrography, and Oceanography Service Planning and the Coordination Board meeting held under the office of the Presidency of Turkey. Today, in this event that's organized within the scope of the 100th anniversary of the Republic of Türkiye, we will discuss Turkey's contribution to the UN Decade of Ocean Science and make our collective commitment to preserving and safeguarding the invaluable research that's our oceans and seas with your valuable participation. Turkey, with its extensive coastline and historical connection to the seas, is fully invested in the objectives of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science. We stand prepared to take great steps, engage in meaningful partnership, and contribute to our exercise to address the critical changes faced by our seas and the oceans. Our commitment to the United Nations Ocean Decade is grounded in the belief that sustainable ocean management is a shared responsibility. We recognize the urgency to act to ameliorate the growing challenges such as the climate change, marine pollution, overfishing, and habitat degradation, which pose significant threats to the health and the sustainability of our seas and the oceans. With the awareness that not only terrestrial ecosystems, but also seas and oceans have inevitable importance for our blue planet, and our university endorses the Institute of Marine Science that was established in 1975. For almost 50 years, our Marine Science Institute have been carrying out research in the Mediterranean, Black Sea, and Marmara, as well as open oceans and polar regions to understand the unknowns of marine ecosystem, protect them, and reach out to our common vision of healthy, sustainable, and resilient seas and oceans. As well as supporting United Nations Sustainable Development Goal of 14, life below water, METU have numerous projects and actions such as the Decade Action, Resilience, which is the Advancing the European Seas Marine Research and Innovation to support their biodiversity and resilience under multi-stressors for endorsing ocean decade objectives. I can proudly say that our university pioneers many international and national marine research and contributes to different marine strategies and actions. These includes Middle East Technical University leading to the EU Horizon projects such as European Research Council Deep Trace, Bridge Black Sea project, the ECOSIM time series research we carried out in the Mediterranean Sea and the Marmot. This Sea of Marmara integrated modeling system project, which is important, become more visible during the mucilage crisis in 2021. Alongside this, our university has established the Climate Change and Sustainable Development Center with the aim of supporting international and national strategies such as UN SDGs and Ocean Decade, as well as the EU missions. In collaboration with national and international stakeholders, our university and Turkey are dedicated to fostering scientific research, technological innovation, and policy initiatives that aim to better understand and protect our oceans. Today, at this event, once again, we have a chance to emphasize the importance of scientific knowledge, data sharing, capacity building, as well as promoting a holistic ecosystem, which is based approach to ocean governance. As we convene over the next few days, I encourage all of you to share your insight, expertise, and innovative ideas. Let us forge partnership, create synergies, and collectively lay the foundation for a sustainable future for our oceans. Well, we would like to thank all of you for your participation in this conference, where we discuss Turkey's contribution and commitments to the objectives of the UN Open Ocean Decade, and which it serves a great platform for exchanging good practices, learning from our experience, and further collaboration for meaningful actions during this decade and beyond. Once more, I would like to say welcome to our university and have a beautiful time in our university and in this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kök, for setting the scene. Now I would like to invite the President of the Office of Navigation, Hydrography and Oceanography, Captain Hakan KUŞLAROİLU.
Okay, ladies, the Chancellor, scholars, academics, I saw very familiar faces. I want to say, first of all, good morning to all. As it's reflected on the screen, I'm the director of the Office of Navigation, Hydrography and Oceanography, and I'm leading a board which is officially established with a dedicated law. And that board is a bridge organization between Turkey and all the academics works in the oceanographic area. So here, I don't want to take you, because the time is the most important thing today. I know it very well. So I will leave the floor directly to the scientists as you speak. But I just want to thank the Middle East Technical University just because they accepted to hold this conference, which is very hard to organize. And as I see today, we have too many people. And again, thanks to him for hosting us. Sometimes, even me, I'm saying welcome, but actually we are from Istanbul, and we are happy to be here. And I am sure that at the end of the day, we will have a good, beneficial, and really good results from this conference. And just to leave the floor to the scientists, I'm saying good morning and a beneficial conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. KUŞLAROİLU, for your kind words. Now I would like to invite Dr. Lieutenant Emre TUKENMEZ, the Head of Chart Production Department of the Office of Navigation, Hydrography and Oceanography.
Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say welcome again. I believe this conference is going to be a successful event by the help of all of us. And we are happy to have participants from different institutions, universities, ministries, and non-governmental organizations. I want to start with the topic of why do we need an ocean decade? As you may remember, United Nations has proclaimed an ocean decade. It's a 10-year framework. It covers the years of 2021, 2030. United Nations give this mission to the UNESCO, and then UNESCO give this responsibility to the IOC, Intergovernmental Oceanography Commission. Because Intergovernmental Oceanography Commission, IOC, is the only structure in the United Nations that specializes in and focus on marine science. Today, climate change is one of the greatest challenges. We need to fight against climate change, and we need to change the behavior of humankind. Because, as you know, this year we have survived the hottest summer in this year. And people could die because of the climate change, so we should worry about it. And marine pollution is increasing. There could be more plastic than fish in the future. That's why preventing marine plastic is crucial for our lives and for our planet. And you know, oceans are not in good conditions. And it is getting worse day by day. And what we are trying to do with the decade is beyond the one nation's capacity. We should do better, and we should do it all together. In fact, I love the term of one ocean, one planet, because it reminds me that we are on the same boat. So we should keep that in mind. Only 25% of the ocean floor is mapped so far. Still, we do little know about the ocean. We cannot manage what we don't understand. So we should do better than we do now in order to create the digital twin of the oceans. As shown on the screen, 7 decade aims do you have? And in this conference, we mainly focus on those aims. And we accept the importance of the decade, and it is vision, the science we need for the ocean we want. Turkey is surrounded by 3 major seas, and Turkey is a big country. We are always interested and involved in marine research activities. And National Decade Committee is one of the key elements for decade. That's why Turkey established National Decade Committee in the first half of 2021, and we work for gathering ideas and supporting decade. In our committee, we have members from universities, institutions, ministries, non-governmental organizations. And also we have 20 members. As you know, there is a slogan which says, the ocean decade is everyone's decade. So anyone can participate and everyone can make contribution, no matter how big or small the contribution is. And we had a kickoff event on 24 August 2021 with participation from IOC to announce the decade in Turkey. It was the first activity. And in the first year of decade, IOC created a portal which is called Global Stakeholder Forum. At the first time it was called Global Stakeholder Forum, and then its name changed. Now we call it Ocean Decade Network. So you can create an account, you can log in, you can follow the updates related to Ocean Decade activities. Also we have a forum page, early career ocean professionals there, and people can follow the updates, activities all around the world. So you can share the information also in those portals. Decade Committee, our committee has a term of reference. The purpose of the committee is to serve as a central hub in our country. Every year, with respect to our regulations, we organize a national meeting to discuss marine research activities, last 5 decades. When we look from the ocean decade perspective, especially last two meetings are really very important, because in those meetings, we discuss and talk about the decade aims. For instance, we decided to take the advantage of every opportunity as conferences, events, to introduce and explain the importance of decade all around Turkey. And this activity is one of them. Also in May 2023, this year, we updated our marine research document to be compatible with the decade aims and the new terms, blue economy and blue growth. Every year in the month of December, we had a meeting for organizing our marine research cruise plans for following years. Also, we also provide the copy of this plan, English version of it, to the UNESCO IOC. Our office is the only national authority in Turkey on hydrographic and nautical charging matters. We believe that information is important for understanding climate and dynamics of the ocean. As you may remember, as I mentioned in previous slides, 25% of the ocean floor is mapped so far. So that's why, as one of the oldest hydrographic office in the world, we try to do our best to use our expertise and resources to reach the decade aims. We hope Ocean Decade will reach the aim of mapping 100% of the ocean floor. Not just at national level, we also have activities in the regional manner. Every 2 years, we organize the national meetings. For example, next year we will have again. And we work in close coordination with the Decade Coordination Unit, other national committees also. For example, we joined the activity, Italy was the coordinator of this activity, the science we need for the Mediterranean CV1 regional event. We also joined this one. Also, workshops or bridge projects are conducted by relevant universities and institutions, and Black Sea countries come together for Blue Growth with Black Sea Connect project. Ocean governance courses, many courses we conduct. These courses are organized to upgrade the ocean literacy with the participation of many applicants. We should make sure that people, especially children, to be aware of the understanding of the importance of health of ocean. And many meetings, activities have been conducted so far. And our Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change has implemented the Integrated Marine Pollution Monitoring Program. Basically, the aim of this program is to assess chemical and ecological status of our oceans, our seas. And this program is executed with the national budget. In accordance with our national board decision, in this year, we celebrate the week of 5th of June. This week is the Turkey Environment Week called, with the theme of Clean Ocean and Clean Planet. We organize many activities, cleaning the shores, diving, training, bicycle tour, etc. Yeah, all around Turkey, we did those events. And my last topic is tsunami service provider. This is also an important topic. Tsunami warning systems are essential components of IOC, coastal community, and we are honored to host one of the tsunami service providers, the Regional Earthquake and Tsunami Monitoring Center, which is called Boğaziçi University Kandilli Observatory and Earthquake Research Institute since 2012. Last year was a special year because we celebrate the decade as a candidate to tsunami service provider. Also, we have a National Tsunami Ready Board, and it was established in this year in March. In following session, definitely much more details will be provided. And I would like to say thank you all participants, IOC institutions, universities, non-governmental organizations for joining this conference and for their support. Finally, of course, fantastic team, fantastic effort, Middle East Technical University. Thank you very much for hosting this conference. And my last verse will be the ocean is the key for our future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. TUKENMEZ, for your kind words and for your support throughout this process of the organization of the event. Now we'll hear more on sustainable blue economy. I would like to invite Mr. Cagatay, the head of Department of General Directorate of Maritime Affairs of Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure.
distinguished representatives, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my sincere pleasure for participating in such an important organization and would like to thank to the representatives of the Middle East Technical University and the Office of Navigation, Hydrography and Oceanography for inviting us to the conference on Turkey's contribution to the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. I hope this event will provide new opportunities to prepare an implementation plan for the Ocean Decade in consultation with the Member States, United Nations partners, and diverse stakeholder groups. Before starting, I would like to give brief information about the importance of the oceans in line with some merchant trade statistics. As we all know, merchant trade accounts for 85% of global trade. By the end of 2022, approximately 12 billion tons of cargo is transported by sea. The global maritime transport market grew from 545 billion to 575 billion in 2022. It is also expected that by the end of 2023, sector is expected to reach 694 billion USD at a compound annual growth rate of 4.8%. We all passed through the COVID-19 pandemic together. With the closure of the country's borders, global trade had to shift to the sea, and 10% rise in freight increased global inflation by 1%, and this situation resulted with an inflation problem for all countries in the world. These data prove that oceans and the seas are the key factors for a sustainable global trade. As we all know, blue growth and economy refers to a sustainable use of marine resources and to increase marine living resources, marine non-living resources, marine renewable energy, port activities, shipbuilding and repair, maritime transport, and coastal tourism. Under these key sectors, the size of the global blue economy has reached 3 trillion USD out of a total GDP of 100 trillion USD. The share of the blue economy in total GDP varies by countries. The gross value added of the blue economy established sectors in 2020 was 129 billion euro, which is contributing 1.1 to the European Union zone, which reached to a 523 billion euro financial turnover in 2020. There was a 30% decrease compared to 2019 figures. According to the latest reports, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict and the COVID-19 pandemic have a negative effect on blue economy in the European Union zone. Taking into consideration that 85% of the global trade is performed by merchant shipping, global crisis, restrictions, sanctions, and regional conflicts have a big negative effect on blue economy. Distinguished guests, now I would like to share some information for the blue economy in Turkey. While calculating the size of the blue economy in European Union, firstly, the added value created per person employed in the maritime sector is calculated, and then this value is multiplied by the total employment in order to determine the economic size. This study conducted on Turkey compiled such data as turnover, employment, and number of the companies of subsectors obtained by Ministry of Treasury and Finance of Turkey on the basis of the NICE codes, which is the statistical classification of economic activities, and revealed their share in GDP and other developments over the years. While making calculations regarding economic activities, maritime cargo transportation, fishing, port management, ship agency services, ship construction, maintenance and repair, transportation brokerage, sea tourism, sea passenger transportation, pilotage, towage, ship recycling are included in the maritime sector. The top 5 sectors regarding the blue economy that contribute most to the Turkey's economy are port management, shipbuilding and maintenance and repair, ship agency, fishing, and maritime cargo transportation. On the other hand, it was determined that the turnover of the taxpayers operating in the maritime sector increased to approximately 245 billion Turkish liras in 2021 and approximately 531 billion Turkish liras in 2022. The share of these taxpayers constituted 1.4% of the turnover of all taxpayers who operated in Turkey in 2022. In addition, the total number of the employment in the maritime sector reached to 217,000 as the end of the 2022. Dear guests, we, as the Maritime Authority of Republic of Türkiye, have introduced new regulations and provide incentives for our maritime sector in order to sustain uninterrupted maritime transport and clean seas. These incentives cover financial support to the liner ro-ro services and renewal of the non-environmental ships into environmental friendly ships. We and the Ministry of Treasury and Finance have also, together with the contribution of a joint study, provided tax advantages to the fishing vessels, passenger boats, and cargo ships since 2004 in order to increase the contribution of the blue economy to Turkey's economic growth. In conclusion, Turkey is a maritime country and related studies continue to be conducted with the relevant public institutions in the field of sustainable investment in the blue economy to monitor the development of maritime's contribution to the economy, and at international level, participation is ensured in the European Union, International Maritime Organization, IMO, and all related international and national organizations in order to contribute to blue economy growth concept studies. Dear guests, before concluding my words, I once again would like to thank to all related stakeholders of this very important organization for their efforts and contributions, and all distinguished guests for their patience. Best regards.
Thank you, Mr. Cansız, for the important messages. Now we'll hear more on the actions taken to achieve the aim of clean ocean in Turkey. I would like to invite Ms. Nazan OZYUREK, the head of Department of Marine and Coastal Management in the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change.
Thank you very much. Distinguished President of ONHO, distinguished Executive Secretary from IOC, distinguished Head of Unit from the European Commission, dear academicians, representatives of institutions, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the Minister of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change. I would like to say that it's a great pleasure to be a part of this valuable organization. And I feel a little emotional to be here at the university that I graduated from. First of all, I have to say that I would like to use this opportunity in order to explain the studies conducted by the ministry and give contributions to the main objectives of the ocean decade. We are all familiar that oceans are crucial for the continuation of life and also for the economic growth. Our main aim is to get the balance between that we named as sustainability. Therefore, we are now developing a sustainable blue economy action plan. The main plan is to develop this plan in 2 years, and this plan will cover the period until 2053. For the development of the Sustainable Blue Economy Action Plan, we first of all have to have the marine framework strategic legislation in hand. Now we have a draft legislation in hand. We shared and worked together on a draft legislation, and the plan is to publish this legislation next year. The second prerequisite is to have a marine spatial plans in hand. For these marine spatial planning, we are now conducting some studies for the gap analysis, for the legislative part. Then the implementation will follow these steps. This Sustainable Blue Economy Action Plan is indicated in the Turkey Central Region, and all of these strategic plans regarding the development of Turkey for the next coming years. As you all familiar, these maritime issues, marine environment management issues, are regulated with some international and regional frames like conventions and protocols. As Turkey, we are party to the Barcelona Convention for the Mediterranean region. We are party to the Bucharest Convention for the Black Sea region. We are party to the Madrid Protocol considering Antarctic. Also, we are applying the IMO conventions, mainly the MARPOL. And now UN have some new initiatives. At the end, the plan is to have a legally binding frames. One is about the biodiversity, named as BBNG, and the second is plastic pollution, including the marine environment, mainly the marine litter. As Turkey, we are following and giving contributions to these valuable studies. In addition to the main mandatory mandates of these legally binding international efforts, we are conducting some various rising activities. In December 2021, we hosted the COP22 of the Barcelona Convention. In this meeting, we take lots of groundbreaking decisions. As an example, one is about the SECA. We designated Mediterranean as the sulfur emission control area as the whole, which is biggest on the globe. And we perform lots of side events in order to share experiences. In most of the international UN conferences, we also perform some awareness raising activities with the support of academicians and the other institutions of Turkey. And as Emre Komutan mentioned, we this year celebrated Environment Week with the theme of Clean Ocean and Clean Planet. We are also performing some activities in line with the international initiatives. As you're all familiar, there is a new initiative named 30 by 30, which means having 30% of special protection areas until 2030. In line with this initiative, we designated Marmara Sea as a special environmental protection zone, in addition to the ones that we have in the Mediterranean region. And as Turkey, we initiated a new movement named Zero Waste. These Zero Waste movements have a subtitle named Zero Waste Blue. This movement has been carried out to an international dimension with a decision of the UN. Now, 13th of March every year will be celebrated as an International Zero Waste Day. And nationally, in the scope of the Zero Waste Blue movement, the most important activity is the collection of the marine litter. We are applying these activities under the scope of the marine litter action plans that we develop for all of the coastal cities of Turkey. We have some other national implementations regarding the clean ocean aim. We are using technology for the implementation of MARPOL. We are using a software named DAO for the control of these ship wastes. And we are now working on the blue QR system, which will be valid for the yacht in Turkey. And we published a bylaw named Cleaner Production Techniques in the Shipyards. These bylaws have lots of rules inside, but one of the most important is about the having electrical vehicles for the service boats in shipyards until 2027. At the end of this year, all of the service boats have to be electrical vehicles for the shipyards. And another aim is to have cleaner swimming areas and beaches. And there is an international program named Blue Flag. Turkey ranks as third after Spain and Greece in this program of Blue Flag. Also for the dredging activities and fish farms, we are ensuring that these facilities performs in an environmentally friendly way by giving permits to these facilities. And another important issue is about the risk assessment and the emergency plans. In order not to manage crisis, we have to manage risk at the beginning very efficiently. So for all of the coastal facilities of Turkey, we now have the emergency plans. In addition, we have one national and 6 regional ones. At this point, we started to use technology. We are now preparing the digital twins of coastal facilities, which will increase the efficiency of these emergency plans, since we will be able to use the simulations, and it will develop the background studies for the smart port concept. And the climate change, we're all familiar with this issue, and for the next coming near future, all the governments and scientists will spend more time on this issue. According to IPCC reports, in the Mediterranean region, they're saying that we are at the most vulnerable part of the globe. So we have to take action about this. At this point, I have to mention that Turkey, under the scope of the Barcelona Convention, offered establishment of a new regional activity center on the climate change. If the COP, December this year, approves this decision, Turkey will contribute to the Mediterranean region for increasing our resistance to the climate change. At this point, I would like to show you a short film developed for the effects to highlight the importance of climate change, the adverse effects on the Mediterranean region. But before the film, I would like to finish my words by saying thank you very much for this kind invitation. I'm very happy to be here. It's a great honor of mine. And I would be very happy to give more detailed information for the rest of the day, or maybe later. And I'm very excited about the rest of the day. Thank you very much, and I wish that we will perform a very fruitful organization meeting today. Thank you very much.
In a world shaped by millennia of natural balance, a new force has emerged, altering the very fabric of our existence: climate change. As temperatures rise, glaciers that have stood for centuries crumble, releasing torrents of icy tears. Ancient forests, once vibrant, now blaze with unprecedented fury. From the frozen poles to the tropical equator, humanity's footprint reverberates across every corner of the globe. This is a defining challenge of our time. Climate change reaches beneath the waves, reshaping our oceans. Rising temperatures alter ocean chemistry, threatening coral reefs and marine life. Coral reefs turn ghostly as storms intensify, eroding coastal habitats. Fishing communities face uncertainty as habitats shift and fish stocks exhaust. Even the Arctic, once frozen, melts away, impacting polar bears and Arctic wildlife. Plastic pollution adds to the crisis, choking marine life and poisoning oceans. Amidst this global symphony of change, the Mediterranean stands as both a victim and a witness. Its ancient shores have seen civilizations rise and fall, yet they now bear witness to a threat unlike any before. The Mediterranean's once teeming waters are undergoing transformation. Rising temperatures drive species to migrate in search of cooler homes, while iconic marine life faces a delicate future. Coastal cities, the heartbeats of Mediterranean life, grapple with encroaching seas. The homes that have stood for generations now stand on the brink of uncertainty. Across the sun-soaked landscapes of the Mediterranean, wildfires have become an all-too-common menace. The scorching temperatures and prolonged droughts fuel these infernos, consuming vast stretches of forest and homes in their path. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, torrential rains triggered by a warming atmosphere have brought unexpected chaos. Especially in northwestern Mediterranean, flash floods surge through quaint villages and historic streets, leaving a trail of destruction and despair. The Mediterranean, once lush and verdant, is drying up before our eyes. Prolonged droughts are pushing countries in this region to the brink, affecting agriculture, water resources, and livelihoods of countless people. In the midst of the changing tides of climate, a symphony of dedication arises. People of the Mediterranean unite to safeguard the precious habitats that have sculpted the identity of this sea for countless eons. Yet the battle against climate change knows no borders. Across nations, a call for unity emerges as we strive to write a different fate for our oceans and our world. The epicenter of this collective endeavor lies the Barcelona Convention, a beacon of hope and cooperation. Representatives from nations surrounding the Mediterranean Sea gather and unite in their commitment to safeguarding the environment, being the pioneers in the fight against climate change. The fate of the Mediterranean that cradles it rests in our hands. By embracing sustainability, advocating for change, and nurturing our planet, we can rewrite the ending of this story. The Mediterranean has weathered countless storms, and now it faces a challenge that tests its very essence. The choices we make today will echo through time, leaving a legacy of either neglect or stewardship. The clock is ticking, and the world must come together to address this defining challenge of our time. The fate of our planet and the generations to come depends on our actions today.
Thank you, Ms. OZYUREK, for your talk and all the work that the ministry and your team are carrying out, and the video is really summarizing it all. Now we'll move on to the video address of the Vladimir Rybin, Executive Secretary of Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me thank Turkey for inviting me to speak at your conference devoted to the Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Most unfortunately, due to so many things that are happening now in IOC, our decade staff is on travel. I am also in the meeting, so I have to record this message, and I hope this message will be still very useful for you, because I think indeed very important things are happening in IOC. And let me share the screen, and then I will try to present to you the most recent updates on the Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and first of all, why we need the decade. You know, a few words about IOC. IOC, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, the home of ocean sciences in the United Nations system, was founded in 1960, and at the time we had only 40 member states, and the main idea at the time was to give a platform for oceanographers from different political systems to speak to each other, to share data, to have common ideas. But it was not so existential as it is now. But now the situation has in the world significantly changed. You see on the slide on the right side the graphs of many parameters that describe the state of the world. And we see that carbon emissions are growing, pollution is growing, the demands in terms of food are growing, production, once again, production is growing. And of course, the population we need to feed is also growing. And because of that, our relations with the ocean are quite strained. And I have to say that ocean is critical for us for the survival of our civilization. And because of that, the role of IOC has changed. Now we have 150 member states, and these member states are concerned with protecting the ocean and using the ocean for solving existential issues, including the sustainable development. So, sustainable development. The 2030 agenda was developed by the United Nations and adopted in one voice in the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. The agenda has 17 sustainable development goals, including the SDG on the ocean. And during that very General Assembly, the first draft of the first World Ocean Assessment was also presented to United Nations member states. And that, despite the agenda, was definitely, for us, the way forward for the world. The World Assessment was quite sober on the situation. And this is a 1,000-page report. If we are able to summarize it in one sentence, the sentence would be: humankind is running out of time to start managing the ocean sustainably. But what does it mean to manage the ocean? There are different ways of doing this, but all of these ways are really ocean science intensive. That is the critical situation that determines the role of ocean science, the role of IOC, and the fact that both organization, IOC, and the science were, I would say, underdeveloped, and we needed a very significant boost. So let me present to you very briefly what does it mean to manage the ocean. We have coastal zone management, a very long-standing program for IOC, how the coastal community interacts with the neighboring ocean. Then we started to move offshore, maritime special planning, and different other ways of supporting sustainable ocean economy. How to make sure that tourism, fisheries, transport, dredging, construction, and many other uses of the ocean are not creating harm to each other and protecting the ocean. That is the idea of maritime spatial planning. And now we have more than 100 countries in the world that already use or study maritime spatial planning. 20 years ago, we had only a handful of countries doing this. So this is moving forward. Biodiversity beyond areas of natural jurisdiction, marine protected areas, management of large marine ecosystems, management of fisheries, aquaculture is also a way of managing the ocean. The climate is changing. We need to adapt to this. We need to mitigate climate change. And there will be a report. The report was released on 21st of September showing that the ocean solutions may cover actually 25% of the carbon gap that exists between the scenario that we are moving now and moving towards now and the 1.5 degree carbon dioxide removal scenario for the Paris Agreement. We need to develop policies. The policies have to be based on science. We need to provide a lot of services. We have to develop capacity and also have early warning systems. All of these ways is how we can manage the ocean on the basis of science. So, this is the current situation in the United Nations presented graphically. We have Sustainable Development Agenda. We have ideas that are associated with the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. We have Convention on Climate, this Paris Agreement. We have Convention on Biological Diversity that now set up the goal of having 30% of the ocean protected by the year 2030. We have some more pathways for small island developing states. Let me just state this in the following way. The ocean is sick and the climate is sick. But when it comes to the ocean, what is happening is that ocean is sick in many ways, has many diseases, and there are many good doctors treating those diseases in the ocean. The problem is that these doctors do not speak to each other. We need to cure the patient rather than to treat the disease. So we need to consolidate a lot of work. And that is exactly the idea behind the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development that was proposed in 2016 in a brainstorming in IOC. Then we convinced also the General Assembly of United Nations to proclaim it for the years 2021, 2030, and it happened already in the year 17. So we spent 3 years working with the global community, trying to develop the design, the plan and commitment for the Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So this is basically the summary of what it is. We have a plan. The plan is co-designed by many people. We have the vision, the science we need for the ocean we want. So what is the ocean that we want? We would like to have clean, healthy, resilient, productive, predicted, safe, accessible ocean. That was our initial thinking. But only after some time, an idea came from a person that remains unknown now, but we also need an inspiring and engaging ocean. And if the previous qualities of the ocean were really the qualities of the ocean, the inspiring, engaging quality is the quality of people and their relation to the ocean. And that is a game changer. We need to change us rather than to change the ocean, and better us will help to change the ocean. So we are developing now this through some technical ways. We need to address, study pollutants, beat pollutants. We need to study ecosystems, maintain healthy ecosystems. We need to generate food from the ocean to feed growing population, develop sustainable ocean economy in the conditions when climate is changing, and we need to fight that climate change. And the current year is actually the warmest on the record because of the El Nino and because of the also carbon emissions. Also, we need to address ocean-related risks in the warning systems, to develop observing system, because we cannot manage only something that we cannot measure. We need to develop digital representation of the ocean and digital twin of the ocean. The way of presenting the future state of the ocean in an objective way is for us the way to speak to the governments, because governments will be able to see what are the consequences in digital way of their decisions in relation to the ocean. We cannot leave anyone behind. This is about capacity development, and we need to change our behavior. That is achieved by having us inspired and engaged in the ocean. And that in turn is achieved by developing ocean literacy. That is the vision of the decade. That is the plan that is now shared by many people. So where we are, The decade was proclaimed without giving a penny to IUC. So we started to develop calls for actions. Now we have completed 5 calls. The last was finished on 31st of August. We are now analyzing the results. We have now 48 programs in the decade. And if in 2016 it was just us, few people, enthusiasts, that thought about the decade, now we have 35,000 individuals working for the decade, 3,050 organizations and more. We have developed the largest ever undertaking in the history of ocean science, but this is not about actually the size. It's about how we move forward in co-design mode, engaging and inspiring people about the ocean. So, this is the current composition of the decade activities. In terms of marine pollution, I would like to say that, you know, the largest interest and the largest number of activities in the is in the domain of ocean observations, then in the domain of ocean climate, then in domains of capacity development and ecosystem management. Much less is now is moving forward in the domains of ocean economy, but beating marine pollution, moving forward on ocean economy, creating resilience warning systems, digital ecosystem is a very difficult task. So we are moving forward. We are monitoring what is happening in the world, what is happening in different domains. And because of that, if there is something that is lagging behind, we are able to actually stimulate the developments in that particular area. We are also developing ecosystems of players, ecosystems of stakeholders and participants. This is not only scientists, this is also local governments, national governments, philanthropy, non-governmental organizations, industry, various investors, holders of indigenous knowledge, local communities, UN agencies, regional organizations, early career professionals. We have now more women working for the decade than men. So this is a gender, I think, progressive area, and we have different ways of organizing the work. We have decade coordination officers that share their capacity. We have the collaborative centers, leaders in the field that also spread their knowledge. So this is a decade that is, I already said, involving more than 35,000 people, a lot of organizations, a lot of countries. So I would like to say that these national decade committees in many countries, we have now 37, they are, and Turkey also has a national decade committee that is behind this conference that I'm speaking. So I think these are the seeds of future ocean governance. That is a combination of the governmental response, societal response, and scientific response, and also stakeholders. So we are changing the world in this, and we are now moving forward on because we are already approaching the 4th year of the decade. The decade is big, but you know, as I said, it's not uneven it's not even in some ways. So we need to see where we're going, how we're going, where are the gaps, what is the ocean that we're going to create in the year 2030. I would like to present to you now the conference that IUC is going to conduct in Barcelona in April 2024. This is a significant milestone in bringing together all the programs and having a very significant brainstorming of what we have achieved, what we will need to achieve. So I invite the Turkish community to come to that conference and be a very strong participant. So what is going to happen in the future? We understand the decade is only 10 years. We need to develop our approach to the ocean. We need to start creating the ocean that we want. And that is the purpose of the Vision 2030 process. So this process is setting priorities, seeing the gaps, and the process will be enabled by a series of milestone meetings. The first, the Decade Conference, I already presented to you in the previous slide. Then this will be in April. In June, there will be pre-conference of the United Nations Ocean Conference 2025 that is hosted by Costa Rica and France. This pre-conference will be in Costa Rica, building political support, already running the ideas by the governmental organizations. Then we'll have to engage the community. One Ocean Science Conference will be conducted before the United Nations Ocean Conference in 2025. And we hope very much that in 2025, the governments will come under the the auspices of the United Nations system, to think about the ocean. They will capitalize on what the decade is doing. They will hopefully come up with a very strong plan of United Nations work in the ocean on the basis of science towards managing the ocean sustainably, towards finding solutions of how we can protect 30% of the ocean area by 2030, how we can find ocean solutions for climate change, how we start managing the ocean and develop sustainable ocean economy. This all is enabled by the very devoted and I would say in one way sacrificed work of IUC community, and also the decade is now uniting people, and people are getting better. You know, I have to say the ocean is changing people. They're changing their attitude. We are making not only our relation with the ocean better, we're making the whole world better. With that, I would like to thank you for the invitation for IUC to speak at your conference. I wish you a very successful event. Please think, please co-design the decade for you, and the decade will open its hands to embrace what you're going to do, and we will move forward towards the ocean we need for the future we want. Many thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank also the delegation of Turkey to UNESCO for being our great partner. And with that, I thank you for your attention, and I wish you a very good event. All the best.
We'd like to thank the Executive Secretary for the very comprehensive information. It very well prepares us for the scientific sessions. But before that, I would like to invite our last keynote speech, Ms. Sigi GRUBER, who is the former head of Unit of the Health, Seas and Ocean of European Commission. She has been a long-time supporter of the Black Sea and the all marine science community, and a dear friend to some of us here. And it's an honor for me to have worked with her. It's very nice you're here, Sigi, please.
Burada bulunmaktan onur duyuyorum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, authorities, colleagues, friends. My Turkish stops here, but maybe one day I will have an opportunity actually to study it. So it's really a great pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. I'm not representing the European Commission anymore because I'm retired. So what I tell you is, yes, based on my experience, but I am talking on my personal behalf. From Vladimir and from the previous speakers, we have already, they set fantastically the scene. I just wanted, however, to bring to your attention and to put SDG 14 in the middle, because I think that's also what we are talking today. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development indeed stands for a groundbreaking global roadmap for addressing the most pressing challenges. But we heard last week at the SDG Summit in New York that yet there is a lot to do. Progress has been made, but it's not satisfactory. And despite that, I must say, and that's why I really wanted to place here the SDG 14 and the oceans in the middle, in the last 18 months, we have witnessed quite a significant progress on ocean governance. There's the Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework with its targets of conserving 30% of the world's ocean land by 2030, while restoring 30% of degraded ecosystems. The High City Treaty was signed, finally, which also will allow really to share the benefits from ocean and marine resources. We have the different COPs. Last year there was a UN event in Lisbon. In Europe, we have the European Green Deal with its different strategies, and the European Union is resolute in its commitment to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. And of course, we have the Ocean Decade. So as you can see, partnership is embracing all the different SDGs, and that's what we are talking today. We have to work in partnership, multi-partners, multi-levels. Everyone needs to contribute. And because I take the partnership as a little bit of a fil rouge, as a leitmotif throughout my whole talk, I wanted also to present very briefly how what is going on in the European Union, particularly as part of the framework program Horizon Europe, the framework program for research and innovation, how that is really contributing to sustain, to develop, to disseminate the Ocean Decade activities. There is the European Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership with its pillars, which is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, where many of the different actions which were developed automatically will really sustain the UN Decade. The partnership is like a mini framework. It is a co-funded program between the European Union and all the countries, the EU member states and associated countries, and Turkey is also participating, have pooled money together. We talk about a financial envelope here of 450 million euros for the 7 years, where different projects will be funded. Small-scale projects, not always big scale, but they are very, very important, and they will generate the impact which is so much needed, and they will automatically contribute as well to really fulfill the different achievements that Vladimir has outlined to us, and I have tried, or actually my colleagues have tried, or my ex-colleagues, to put on the slide. The same goes with another major initiative, which is the EU mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters by 2030. And allow me just to summarize the objectives of the mission. There are 3 major objectives: protect and restore marine and freshwater ecosystems and biodiversity, prevent and eliminate pollution of our oceans and seas, make the blue economy carbon neutral and circular, and with very, very ambitious targets to achieve this by 2030. For example, biodiversity, the famous 30 by 30, which was mentioned as well in the previous speech, or eliminate 50% of microplastic going into the seas. Those objectives align very well as well with the objectives and the challenges of the decade. And this mission has 2 big enablers: a digital ocean and water knowledge system in the form of a digital twin, which is the European digital twin. It will be up and running. A blueprint is being developed. The first blueprint and the first mock should be ready by 2025. And that, of course, again, will link into the DITO, which is the Ocean Decade digital twin. And it will really take on board all the different local and national digital twins which will going to be developed, including the ones from Turkey and in the Black Sea or in the Mediterranean. Public mobilization and engagement, we heard that as well from Vladimir. Nothing happens if the scientists are not taking the message out to the broader public, and if the broader public is not changing attitude. And I will come back on this very, very important issue. So the mission has kick-started. There are many projects. There are so-called lighthouses. There are 4 lighthouses now which have been rolled out. Lighthouses are like hubs to mobilize, to allow the projects to deploy, to test to really bring the solutions back to the local level. The hubs are the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, Arctic, the Baltic and the North Sea, and the Danube River and the Black Sea. What is important in the mission, and this is probably different from the decade, it embraces the whole hydrosphere. It embraces the challenges that we actually face in the ocean, because it is from land to sea, from coast to deep sea. It includes the air, it includes the space, it includes the entire water cycle. And that is, of course, going to be one of the big challenges, how to make the hydrosphere healthy in the future. Here just a couple of examples of projects which are funded by either by the Horizon 2020, which run until 2020, or by Horizon Europe, which is currently running. Very important to see as well the full support, not only from the project, but also for the ocean observation from the Copernicus system. And all these different projects which got funding from the European Union, they are earmarked as Ocean Decade, either as projects, as programs, they participate in conference, they deliver the experts, etc. So there is really this interrelation and this cross-fertilization between two big frameworks. There is really a fantastic opportunity for everyone, I think, to find its place. And I just ran through the colleagues some statistics. I have been told that 56 projects currently have participants from Turkey with a financial envelope of 14.5 million euros contribution from the framework program to Turkey. So that, I think, in itself is also quite something very interesting. But before, I wanted also to highlight, and that is why I really am thankful for inviting me, the contribution that the colleagues here organizing, so Barış and his team, have also made directly to the decade development in Turkey. Also the project which I think is at the center of many, many scientific endeavors and which will continue to be a great opportunity for you all to become engaged. These are only a couple of examples. I could really not, and I wanted to pay tribute to all the other projects, so please don't take this as exclusivity, but I just wanted to highlight some of the really important projects here. Now, we have spoken quite a lot about, we saw this fantastic film about climate change. But let me ask you, does the ocean yet receive the importance that it deserves, also in the whole climate change discussions? I personally do not think it does. I personally think we still have a long way to go. We need a new paradigm. We need really to push for a better understanding widely about the importance, the vital importance of the ocean as climate regulator. We need to engage in each country with the different other ministries. So it's great to see representatives from the environment, etc., in ministry and from transport. That is an example. In each country, there need to be this interdepartmental, really, gatherings, networks, meetings, in order to really fulfill what is the vital role of the ocean for the future. How important is really the ocean for the climate change? And that is something which is not so much known. The science is clear about, but the science doesn't always come to the policymakers. So I think this is something for the future to bear about. It needs really, we need to work on a different ocean and climate paradigm. So before I conclude, I wanted also to, I found that on the website. The coastline of Turkey is 8,333 kilometers long. We also heard it is bordering 3 major different seas. There lies an abundant, globally very important biodiversity with 3,000 different species of plants and marine life, including 480 species of marine fish. I'm sure that you want to preserve this. So before I conclude, let me invite you now to take a deep breath. Please take another one. I'm sure you feel well. So please remember, 50% of our oxygen is produced by the ocean. Go out, you know it because you're scientists, most of you. Go out and tell this to your neighbor, to your friends, and to whoever you talk to. It is so important that collectively we can act and we can preserve the ocean for our survival. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Sigi, for the inspiring speech, as always. We now summarize our first session, which is the opening session, and we'll move on to the first session, which is the Clean Ocean, Clean, Healthy, Resilient, and Predicted Ocean. The session will be moderated by Professor Dr. Barış Salihoğlu, the Director of METU Institute of Marine Sciences. I would like to invite Barış Hocam and the speakers of the session. Please take your seat as I call your name. Professor Dr. Nazli DEMIREL EROL, Istanbul University. Associate Professor Murat Gündüz, 9 Eylül University. Assistant Professor Dr. Rafet Öztürk, Karadeniz Technical University. Associate Professor Ülgen Aytan from Recep Tayyip Erdoğan University, and Professor Dr. Mustafa Yücel from Middle East Technical University. Dear moderator, Barış Hocam, we have Destan here who will help you with the timekeeping, which will be very important for the schedule we have today.
Okay. So each speaker has how many minutes?
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Okay, again, welcome everyone. So the introductory talks and the keynote talks were extremely exciting and informative, so I thank the previous session speakers. And now we will continue with the first session, which is Clean Ocean, Healthy and Resilient Ocean, Predicted Ocean. And I will be the convener of this, moderator of this session. As you have heard, you have 10 minutes. And this session is quite critical because the speakers here will give a broad view in terms of their subjects, what's happening in Turkey, how we are contributing to the ocean decade efforts. And our first speaker will be Professor Nazli DEMIREL EROL from Istanbul University Institute of Marine Sciences and Management. And Nazli is a marine biology professor at the Istanbul University, and I know Nazli and her work for a very long time. She's very active and she has been in the field for 22 years. And her work focuses on ecosystem conservation, sustainable fisheries, and ecosystem and fisheries management. So, as the floor is yours. Thank you.
Today, boyum kısa. It's my pleasure today to participate in this important conference, and I would like to talk about the concept of ecosystem approach and the challenges and opportunities during its implementation. So, marine ecosystems comprising oceans, seas, and coastal areas represent a vast and complicated network of life forms and processes. Humans have a deep and complex relationship with the sea through culture, economics, recreation, and environmental impacts. Marine ecosystems provide us with a wide range of ecosystem services. It's a biodiversity hotspot from the tiniest plankton to the majestic whales. It helps climate regulation via capturing and storing carbon dioxide and also regulating global temperature. It provides oxygen production by marine plants, particularly phytoplankton, and it supports food security and livelihoods through fisheries and aquaculture, and it helps coastal protection as natural buffers against storms, erosions, and other natural hazards. The Sustainable Development Goals were developed by the United Nations in 2015, and it was a universal call to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. A total of 17 Sustainable Development Goals are tightly integrated, meaning that action in one area will likely impact the other areas. So here we are mostly interested in SDG 14, Life Below Water, which aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Given the profound importance of marine ecosystems, it becomes imperative to manage them in a way that ensures their sustainability for present and future generations. This is where ecosystem approach will come to play. So, ecosystem approach is a holistic strategy that recognizes the complicated connections between living organisms and their environment, while also making decisions about resource use, conservation, and development. There are key principles of the ecosystem approach that we can briefly look at. Integrated management is a comprehensive understanding of the ecosystem dynamics. Precautionary approach emphasizes taking preventive action. Adaptive management is being flexible and willing to adjust strategies based on new information. Stakeholder involvement is the engagement of various stakeholders, including industries, scientists, policymakers, and local communities. And finally, interdisciplinary collaboration promotes various stakeholders to work together, bringing their unique insights to the table and fostering holistic solutions. Based on those core principles, we can also adjust some effective management strategies, such as the primary one, ecosystem-based fisheries management, which aims, instead of focusing on individual species, accounting the entire marine food web. Marine protected areas help conserve biodiversity and act as a reference point for scientists to study the impacts of human activities. And climate change adaptation and mitigation is the adjustment of the effects of climate change and reduction the emission of the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Sustainable tourism practices can help reduce negative impacts while also educate visitors about the importance of marine conservation. And finally, blue economy developments refers to sustainable use of marine resources for economic growth. While ecosystem approach offers a promising roadmap, there are many challenges during its implementation. The fundamental challenge lies in facilitating and organizing collaboration among the various disciplines, agents, communities, and organizations that may have different values, objectives, and desires that may oppose each other and results in counterproductive associations. And also there are other challenges like complexity of understanding the managing ecological dynamics, lack of data for making informed decisions, political and economic pressures lead to unsustainable practices through attraction of the short-term economic gains than long-term environmental benefits, and global coordination and shared responsibility issues due to the political boundaries. Limited public awareness means limited public support on forcing sustainable practices. So by acknowledging these difficulties, we can work together to find innovative solutions. When we look at the future directions, we should remember that meeting a growing demand of the societal needs and achieving sustainable development goal from the 2030 agenda can only be fully realized if more integrated science and policy agendas are advanced. Continued innovation is essential to develop new technologies. For example, satellite imagery and remote sensing technologies allow us to monitor vast ocean areas and collect valuable data on sea surface temperature, ocean currents, and even the distribution of marine organisms. From past to present, there is incredible amount of data collected and produced from various sources, which requires a good data analytics. Here we should briefly mention the revolutionary digital twin of the ocean, which is a high-resolution, multidimensional, and almost real-time virtual representation of the ocean. It's a combination of ocean observations, artificial intelligence, and advanced modeling to simulate ocean processes for better management decisions. By fostering a culture of innovation, adaptability, and youth engagement, a harmony between ecosystems and human activities can be expected. Youth are inheritors of the ocean and can drive change through advocacy and action. Here, education plays a critical role in raising awareness, nurturing environmental stewardship, and inspiring careers in marine science and conservation. From now on, I would like to very briefly talk about a case study, the Sea of Marmara, and why ecosystem approach is necessary. The Sea of Marmara is a semi-enclosed basin. It connects Black Sea and Mediterranean. It's naturally vulnerable because of its eutrophic water characteristics by high productivity and permanently layered system. Almost 1,000 macrospecies and over 250 fish species are reported. It's a migration route of schooling pelagic fish. Today only Atlantic bonito and bluefish, but in the past the larger ones, the swordfish and the bluefin tuna, etc. And despite its very small size, its overall contribution to the Mediterranean fishery is 10%. The Sea of Marmara is surrounded by the megalopolis of Istanbul with the population of 18 million people, and there are lots of industry and their related pollution, which caused the pressures, very diverse pressures like domestic and industrial charges, heavy marine traffic, disposal of dredging materials, coastal filling, overfishing, and its already natural processes. Therefore, overall, those pressures are resulting in complex environmental and ecological impacts. Today, it is evident that the capacity of its ecosystem has decreased significantly in the last decades, and ecosystem has become constantly vulnerable to human-induced pressures such as overfishing, which is evident by decrease in landings and mean trophic level, meaning withdrawal of large species and relative increase of small species. Pollution by mainly nutrient loads caused very high total primary productivity, but cannot reach to the upper trophic level because of the overfishing, and resulted with the greatly exceeding total respiration in this system. And climate change is evident with the increasing seawater temperature in the Sea of Marmara. And what happened? Finally, in 2021, the mucilage episode, one of the most important environmental problem in the Sea of Marmara, emerged. So it was a combo of warming seas, pollution and biodiversity loss resulted in proliferation of phytoplankton and the alteration of intricate food web balance and weakening the ecosystem resilience led to the formation of the mucilage process. It started in January and lasted in June 2021, and it caused habitat loss in large areas and affected many ecosystem services, even blocked, and also issued economic problems, including fisheries, and it has been featured in the international literature. And in June 2021, the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change has announced Marmara Action Plan, which constitutes by 22 targets, including establishing marine protected areas, ensuring ecosystem-based fisheries management, and raising public awareness, which are already some of the ecosystem approach principles, core principles, and strategies. So my final words are, ecosystem approach is the only way to protect the Sea of Marmara, also our seas. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. You are right on time. I suggest we take questions at the end. If there are questions at the end of the session, the speakers are here. If you have questions, please note them. You will have the opportunity at the end of the session. And now we will continue with Professor Dr. Murat Gündüz from 9 Eylül University Institute of Marine Sciences and Technology. And Murat is a physical oceanographer, and his expertise is in numerical modeling, and he has been carrying out modeling studies at many different seas that include Black Sea, Adriatic, and the Baltic Sea, Caspian Sea as well. And I believe today he will give us an overview on the role of operational oceanography in predicting the drifting objects in the seas that surround Turkey.
Thank you. Good morning. Distinguished representative of the ministry, university, academics, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to be here, and I would like to thank the organizer committee to invite me on this event. So my title will actually represent the three main objectives of the ocean decade. Especially the third one, increase the use of ocean knowledge. So my talk mostly be on the application of the ocean knowledge on the seas of the Turkey. So I would like to start with the answer this question: what is operational oceanography? Actually, it is a branch of the oceanography providing prediction for the ocean state variables, namely temperature, salinity, ocean current, for the purpose of operational activities in the sea. So operational oceanography can be seen as the serve for the ocean decade objective as the usage of the ocean knowledge. So operational needs in the sea could be oil spill pollution, search and rescue operations, drifting of or drifting objects. So I will give example for each of these operational needs happened in the Turkish seas. Start with the oil spill pollution. So in December 2016, Panama flag, I guess, ship has made an oil spill pollution in the Ilder Bay, which is famous with the crystal clear water in the eastern side of the Turkey. And you see on the right-hand side the final position of the ship and the observed polluted coast. So this photograph taken directly from the company that cleaning the coastal areas. So this is, we call it observation. So what operational oceanography can do about this? So you can see on the left side the surface oil concentration for each hour after the accident. So you can appreciate how important this information for the decision makers and for the people working at the sea. So operational oceanography has a way to provide this information. So this work actually serve for the ocean decade outcome is called a safe ocean or the clean ocean also. So the result of this work were published in a journal. And the second one is the search and rescue operations. So the role of the operational oceanography again. So in August 2014, if you remember, 5 young people rented a pedal bike and disappeared off the Kumburgaz coast, shown in the blue dots in the map. So this is actually the last seen position by the ferry passing through at that time. So one body was found a week later around the Marmara Island, and the other 4 bodies unfortunately didn't recover. And after 1 week, again, the parts of the pedal bike was found around the Erdek beach. So was it possible to predict the location of these 5 young people lost in the Marmara Sea with an operational forecasting model? The answer is unfortunately yes, because we don't have this operational system working in Turkey. So you see on the left-hand side is a 1 week surface current average in the Marmara Sea. You can see the Istanbul Strait jet with a strong magnitude, and also the anti-clockwise basin-wide current in the Marmara Sea. So you can have idea what this pedal bike can move. To better understand this, we also have this synthetic float in the Marmara Sea. So on the right-hand side, you can see almost 160 floats initialized from the last seen position of the pedal bike. And after 1 week, you can see the trajectories of these drifting objects. So it is basically go to the south and then turn to the west. So it's coincide with the observed locations of the one body and also the remaining of the pedal bike. So this result also serve for the ocean decade action, safe ocean. So the results also published in a journal. So the last example is the drifting objects or missing objects in the sea. So if you remember in March 2022, Russian authorities warned about 420 mines broken due to the storm in the 4 Ukrainian ports. And they said that it is a threat to the maritime in the northwest of the Black Sea. To better understand this issue where the mines are coming, we had this numerical ocean model and a drifting model. So these maps on the right shows the 13 days average surface current. The red dots are the 4 harbors mentioned in the letters, and the blue dots is the recovered mines by the Turkish authorities. So it is clearly seen in this figure the main features of the circulation features of the Black Sea, the rim current and the Danube River influence coastal current. So in the video shows the location of transporting of mines initialized off Romanian coasts. So there was the right side is the final position of the mines. So there are other 5 scenarios different in the initial conditions. So none of them can reach to the Istanbul Strait except this one. So before I conclude, I would like to give a summary about the results. So the operational oceanography gives critical information for the decision makers and the operational team in the sea. And also operational oceanography serves to the third ocean decade objectives, which is increase the use of ocean knowledge. And it is also necessary to protect our oceans and save lives we need to have an operational system predicting the ocean weather in our seas. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Yes, our next speaker is Assistant Professor Dr. Rafet Öztürk from Karadeniz Technical University, Faculty of Marine Sciences. He has a PhD on population genetics, and he will be talking about the importance of understanding marine connectivity in ocean ecosystems.
Thank you for your introduction. EROL, thank you also very much for being here. I think it's going to be challenging for me to present something worthy of your time after all these remarkable presentations from the experts and scientists before me, but I'll do my best. So I'm a scientist from Karadeniz Technical University. The topic I'm going to be presenting today is about the importance of marine connectivity in marine environment, understanding the connectivity. And throughout this presentation, I'm going to be talking about applying this connectivity data for marine spatial planning, conservation and management, and I'm going to be slightly touching methods out there that we use to infer connectivity, and since I'm a population geneticist, I'm going to go a little deep with the genetic approaches, and I'm going to be slightly touching the other popular methods out there, which I got to say beyond my field of expertise, but I think it'll be a good baseline for students or early career scientists out there who are looking for a career path in a marine biology or in this field. So let's start with the simple stuff. What is connectivity? Connectivity, simply saying, is a demographic linking of local populations through the dispersal of individuals at different life stages, and it can be facilitated by seascape, but not necessarily all the time. It's really important for us to use connectivity data to understand how individuals, populations, communities, and habitats are connected. So we use connectivity data for depleted population and restocking depleted populations as well. As you all know, all the resources and the habitats are intrinsically connected, yet our understanding of how this connection works is limited. So we need more data to understand how the connectivity works. Understanding connectivity and improving our knowledge on connectivity is really key for sustainable blue economy. I think with this regard, the Sea Unicorn Coast Action that I gotta say that I'm proud to be a part of is really timely. In this action, with some of the colleagues from my department, we are taking active roles. This action brings hundreds of connectivity-related researchers from different disciplines, stakeholders, policymakers together. It's trying to unify different approaches in marine connectivity to better understand each other's methods. For me, I'm a population geneticist. I don't know much about the othelids, but when you know what they can do with their approaches, you can integrate and get a better information about what you can do with it. So I'm also proud to say that Sea Unicorn Coast Action is recently endorsed as one of the official action of UN Ocean Decade. To integrate the approaches between the scientists, we wanted to work on a research paper like a beginner's guided research paper. Each expert is explaining their methods of connectivity, their pros and cons, and their applicability. So it's going to be like a beginner's guide, like a paper that new career beginners can work on. Another one on the left is the one that I'm leading, actually. It's been a quite few years. So we're trying to systematically review all the marine connectivity related reviews out there to find the data gaps in that field that we need to fill and the future directions that we need to synthesize and highlight. So let's take a look at the marine protected areas. As many of you might know, MPAs really increase the biomass, biodiversity. It improves the reproductive potential of the species within their boundaries. And it also has some, not only for conservation, it also has some fisheries benefits as well, as they export individuals at different life stages, like eggs and larvae to the adjacent seas and the regions. It's really helpful. But before designing marine protected areas, we really need to know how the fish move. is there any genetic variation between the populations? Is there any barriers between them? Do they have a larval dispersal stage? If they do, how long can they disperse? So this data really help us to design marine protected areas better. And as you know, most of the species have different home ranges. For smaller fish like wrasse or sturgeon fishes, you can protect them in narrow areas. But for jacks, snappers, you need like hundreds of square meter areas to protect them effectively. For migratory species like turtles or tunas that covers thousands of kilometers during their lifetime, these marine protected areas can only provide partial protection. But if we know how they move and they get really sensitive to fisheries, so we can design marine protected areas accordingly using that information. So let's have a look at the approaches that we do. Before the genetic approaches, what we really interested was protecting the entities at species level. But with the genetic approaches, now we know that there is more than species level. There is a certain variation between the populations or within the population that might be key in their survival in the near future, this fast-changing environment. So this matters now. Everything started kind of with the alloenzymes, then with the advances in technology. After that alloenzyme, we had microsatellites and mitochondrial DNAs that we used to infer connectivity. And after next generation sequencing approaches, now we make it feasible to compare whole genomes of the individuals within the space, within the populations, or between the species, however you wish. So I'm going to show you two key studies that we did, similar, related with the subject. With some international collaboration, we managed to sample turbot populations in the Black Sea. We wanted to see if there's one big population in the Black Sea in terms of genetics, but we see some genetic discontinuities between the northern part of the Black Sea and the southern part of the Black Sea. And we wanted to test if there is an isolation by distance, or is there any correlation between genetic distance and geographic distance. So we, in our first hypothesis, we were naive enough to think that demersal fishes can swim pretty much wherever they want. You don't see any clear barriers there. If they want to go from Samsun to Crimea, they simply just swim through there. So when we did this approach, we found a really low correlation between genetic and geographic distance. Then we thought that there is this hydrogen sulfur layer beneath the Black Sea, and these are the demersal fishes. It's kind of hard for them to travel. It's possible, but it's kind of hard to travel above the hydrogen sulfur like a pelagic fish can do. So they need to follow the coastline in order to get the other part of the Black Sea. After that, we found a really strong signal of between genetic distance and geographic distance. So there's, long story short, there's like two different genetic subpopulations in the Black Sea. Another example is the flounder. Again, with the international collaboration, we managed to sample flounders throughout its distribution range. And for places that we couldn't get the samples, we simply used the available sequences out there in the databases, and we compared them to see if there is any gene flow between the Black Sea and the other regions, because there are a lot of barriers from Black Sea to Atlantic coast of the Europe. Even with the low resolution power markers, we were able to identify different genetic population in the Black Sea. So we kind of suggested them to be recognized as evolutionary taxonomic unit, but there might be a different species in the Black Sea in terms of flounder. So then tagging and tracking, this was the approach that I wanted to have my PhD on, but didn't work. So this is the direct measurement of connectivity. You simply tag the fish and see where it goes. It's direct, you see it. Early work was done with the monitoring studies and capture and abundance studies through the scientific surveys and mark recapture experiments using the external tags that you see. But with the technological advancement, these tags really get smaller and smaller every day. We have data storage tags right now that not only track the movement of the animals, they also get environmental information like the depth and temperature, so you can better understand what kind of migratory paths they do. And then there is a satellite tags, so it enables us to track sea turtles, tiger sharks or any pelagic fish or animals in the ocean, so you can see all their migratory routes. By using that, you can actually use this data clearly on marine protected area design. And there are acoustic telemetry texts that gives you high resolution coastal tracking of the animals. And there are passive acoustic monitoring studies that they are using for vocalized cetacean species to see where they move. And there are chemical markers. These chemical markers are incorporated into the tissues of aquatic environments as they live and get old. So these markers can then be used to infer past geolocations, where they live when they're juvenile, where they migrate when they're adults. But it depends on the power of the environmental signal. The most common one that most of the people know is the otholates, but other parts can be used to infer different environmental or ecological signals. And there are modeling studies that I know very little about, but I just wanted to see it for the future scientists out there. So there are ecological niche models or species distribution models. These models use environmental layers and presence of species to model their distribution. And with that, you would be able to identify barriers in their distribution, which is useful. And the second one is a biophysical modeling, as Professor Murat mentioned, so using the, all the environmental variables in the region, you can track the movements of particles. It's really useful for trajectorying larval dispersal, so you can see where single species X can travel with this one. The meta-population and meta-community models upscale and integrate connectivity estimates for different life stages over time. It requires a lot of information, but the results are really useful. With that being said, I think it's been more than 10 minutes. Thank you all so very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks a lot. And our next speaker is Associate Professor Ülgen Aytan from Recep Tayyip Erdoğan University, Faculty of Fisheries. Actually, Ülgen has started her career as a plankton ecologist, but during the last 10 years, she has been studying on plastic, so now she's a plankton ecologist, as she puts herself. And she will be talking about plastics in the ocean, pollution to solution.
Thank you. Hello, dear all. It's a pleasure to be here with you. The UN Ocean Decade is an important step towards a clean and healthy ocean, and to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals and increase our efforts to fight pollution in our seas. So today, here I am going to provide a broad overview of some of Turkish contributions to UN Ocean Decade regarding plastic pollution. The scale and volume of marine litter and plastic pollution are putting the health of all the world oceans and seas at risk. Plastics, including microplastic, are now ubiquitous, from coastal waters to the ocean gyres to polar environment. They are a marker of Anthropocene, becoming the part of world fossil record. The amount of plastic in the ocean has been estimated around 75 to almost 200 million tons. I'm always finding these numbers so optimistic. So annual load is also estimated around 11 million metric tons, and it is expected to triple in next 20 years in parallel with the expected increase in the production of plastics. So this will be, by 2040, it will be around equivalent to 50 kilograms of plastic per meter of coastal line worldwide. I like to call plastics as unpredictable contaminants. They are very different than any other contaminants in the ocean because each of them are unique. They are coming from very complex sources by multiple pathways, which is also difficult to find, guess, and control. And they are entering the ocean from these pathways in a variety of physical and chemical composition, and their size, shape, charge, and other properties of plastic changes constantly, which is also altering its bioavailability and their biological fate. And each plastic, which are unique, is interacting with the marine life, human in multiple ways. But what we know from the recent research, plastics are affecting their effects starting from subcellular level to the ecosystem level, including our climate. So ocean decade have some challenges to reach ocean we want, and one of them is understanding and mapping the land and sea-based sources of pollution and their potential impacts on human health and ocean ecosystem, and develop, of course, solutions to remove or mitigate them. So the problem of plastic has been present since the start of production, but it becomes more clear, more aware in last years, and Turkish scientists has been working on this problem in last decades. So as I said in the beginning of my presentation, I'm going to give a broad overview of some of the decade contribution of Turkey on this pollution. So this is the recent research me and my colleagues recently finished this paper and submitted, showing the efforts of Turkish scientists on microplastic pollution, their fate, their impacts on Turkish aquatic environments. It also includes the freshwater environment, but I can tell it's mainly marine environment. So you can see in the graphic A in the left-hand side, the number of publications increasing since 2016, which was the first one. And now you can see these publications are published in good journals with a high impact factor, and you can see also the contribution of top institute on this pollution. So these studies are carried within a scope of some national funded projects, mainly from TÜBİTAK, Turkish Scientific Research Council. And all we know now, Turkey sees, as it is happening in the world ocean, contaminated by microplastic in a different concentration and composition. Also, these studies are now investigating the fate and transport of plastic, which is very important for us to understand, especially for the management, and also ecological impacts of plastics. And also we are working on the methods for methodology, sampling, and analysis, which we don't still have a fully standardized method in the world. So I would like to say I can miss some studies because I'm trying to give some overview. So if I miss something, I am sorry for this. Now I would like to mention some of the effort of our Ministry of Environment, Urbanization, and Climate Change. Our ministry has been carrying out a national marine pollution monitoring program since 2013. Our experts are here. They can give more detail if there is need. Pollution is monitored in Turkey seas in all aspects. Since 2013, the plastics were monitored in a pilot locations, but now, since from the 2019, they are fully included to program, and concomitantly in Black Sea, Aegean Sea, Sea of Marmara, in the Mediterranean Sea, microplastics and plastics on the seafloor and on the beaches have been monitored. And as a contracting party, as a common expert, our ministry is reporting this data to the UNEP map, which is very important to set baseline and threshold values to assess the good environmental status in the European regional seas. Our ministry also carries some other projects, mainly coordinated by TÜBİTAK. TÜBİTAK also will make a Marmara Research Center a presentation to mention about the studies in detail. But I can tell there are many plastic-related projects to determine the national strategies and plans for the implementation of MSFT in Turkey. And there are also some awareness activities of our ministries. 5th of June is celebrated as a National Environment Week, and this year it was celebrated in the theme of clean seas, clean planet. And what is also important, the commitment by ministries are so important against this plastic pollution. So there are some national policies ongoing, and there are some coming one. I know they are working on it. But I can tell as a marine litter microplastic researcher, in the monitoring station, we observe some decrease on the number of new shopping bags on the beaches after the ban on free plastic bag in 2019. So it's showing that this helps to reduce the number of plastic, increasing our seas. So I also would like to mention shortly about Turkey's role on polar ocean science. Turkey has a national polar science program. We have a science station in the Horseshoe Island, and this year the Turkish Antarctic Expedition 8 will happen. And there are calls by TÜBİTAK and Polar Research Institute to give a grant for Turkish scientists to make some investigation. And this year I have this project supported, so we will contribute to sustainability and production of this special environment from the plastic pollution we hope. And also I would like to mention about international collaboration. We have a leading Marine Science Institute, METU. The team is here. They can also give a better explanation, but they are coordinating a Horizon 2020 project, which is also support to update the Black Sea area and development of its implementation plan, and also it's supporting to design and implementation of transnational joint actions, including marine litter, which aims to assisting new and ongoing activities on marine litter research and innovation. Last November, there was this event in Istanbul. They gathered the academia and the sector business all together, and it was very fruitful. And they are also partner of Blue Mission Med Horizon project, and all this project they are contributing to fight this big, fastest growing problem for ocean. And as I recently informed, they have also a new project. They are watching the beach litter from the air by drones. So I would like to be more informed, so curious to see the result. We need this kind of innovative solution to better monitor. So the role of NGOs, citizen science, is also an important part to fight with plastic pollution. And in Turkey we have great effort for that. The leading NGOs in Turkey, the Turkish Marine Research Foundation, has been carried out some national and international projects, collaborations to fight with this problem, to produce data and to create some awareness on the issue. And then there are also publications of TÜDAV freely available in the website, very useful for public, for academia, for policymakers to be informed. And there are also education and awareness activities like ocean literacy course. We gave quite diverse plastic pollution lecture also, and it was quite interesting for the contributors. And the last one is, I would like to mention, also the Blue Flag Turkey is coordinated by Turkish Environmental Education Foundation, and they are also carrying some projects and awareness activities, cleanup activities. They are working with the European Environment Agency, and they are using this Marine Litter Watch application, which is a citizen science. They are reporting these data to European Environment Agency to make an assessment of status of marine litter in the regional seas, and which is also very important to understand the status and to assess if the beaches are in good status or getting worse. So we need to fight together for this problem as one. All we know, we need international commitments, legal bindings. But what we need really, as an urgent thing, we need to reduce the plastic in the source. And of course, we need to change the production, consumption, and disposal of plastic to protect marine environment, develop business models to move from single-use to reusable plastic products, and support innovative solutions to remove or mitigate the plastics, provide reliable and transparent sustainability information for consumers, and eliminate problematic and unnecessary plastic-like packaging by redesigning products for enhanced sustainability. And also we need standard methodology to set baseline and threshold values of plastic litter to assess good environmental status. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ina. And our last speaker of this session is Professor Dr. Mustafa Yücel from Middle East Technical University Institute of Marine Sciences. Mustafa has been studying the biochemical cycles of almost all the oceans until now, including the Turkish seas. And actually we have asked him to bring an overview in terms of how oceanography's importance is increasing and how these studies are inspiring us. And Mustafa has been also recently granted by an ERC where he is linking world oceans to the solar systems, and I believe he will also tell us about that as well.
Thank you, Barış, and once again, thank you to all of you for being with us in METU today. Yes, I will be first focusing on the resilience of our oceans. Our rector and Sigi as well kindly mentioned the Decade Action Resilience. So I would like to unpack that a little bit for you. It's actually, as you know, as Emre Bey also mentioned, Decade Actions are basically, in a way, volunteer contributions from countries. So in our case, we wanted to focus on with the resilience action, we wanted to focus on marine ecosystem stresses and how these stresses are actually changing our seas and how we can manage our seas in the face of these stresses. But here we are actually coming together with different partners, also working on the Atlantic, Mediterranean, Black Sea, Baltic Sea, and the North Sea to advance a very holistic approach. The program is built on 3 pillars: on knowledge generation, innovation support, and basically walking to solutions from all these. The key aspect of this decade action is that we are actually using our existing projects or initiatives. And when I say our, it's not only METU or it's truly ours. As you will see in the projects I will feature, and many of you we are working with together. So in this decade action, we are truly willing to integrate national, regional, and global networks towards the preservation of our seas and increasing their resilience. So I'd like to start with a national level contribution, and again, we are coming back to Marmara with this. Yes, we have heard about the crisis that is occurring in the Sea of Marmara. Oxygen loss is one of the chief stressors, and the extent of the stressor has been truly actually uncovered with the support of the Marmot project. So this is a project, again, supported by our Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, the Directorate of Environmental Impact Assessment. They are generously supporting this initiative. So with the first two phases since 2018, we have established actually the extent of the anoxia and hypoxia that's ongoing in the Sea of Marmara. And we have came up with actually a kind of first order what-if scenarios towards restoring the Sea of Marmara. And now in the next phase, we would like to actually integrate all of these findings into three-dimensional mathematical models, integrating physics and biogeochemistry of the Marmara, but we would like to move even further beyond this, and we would like to come up with a digital twin of the Sea of Marmara, hopefully, if this is supported, which will incorporate models, real-time data streams, and what-if scenarios. So this will be a truly innovative tool, especially for our policymakers, and hopefully this will also set an example as a sea basin example, demonstrator that would also feed into broader European sea oceans digital twin and hopefully a global ocean twin in the near future. So as a part of resilience, another contribution is of course happening at regional or European level, international level. And here I would like to again go back to the year 2018 where the Burgaz Declaration was signed by countries around the Black Sea towards a common vision of a clean, healthy, and resilient Black Sea. So the Burgaz vision paper itself was focusing on the research and innovation strategy, but it was already a part of a bigger Burgaz Declaration, which launched the common maritime agenda of the Black Sea. So that's the current, in a way, the policy framework that much of the Black Sea work is ongoing, and this common maritime agenda in Turkey is supported and national level coordinated by our Ministry of Transport. So once again, we thank them also for this initiative, for this leadership that they show. So as a part of the CMA, the Common Maritime Agenda of the Black Sea, as its main science pillar, the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda of the Black Sea was developed in 2019, and this was launched in 2019 in Bucharest. And this year in Brussels, in the European Parliament, the implementation plan of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda was launched with the participation of a broad range of stakeholders. So in all of these steps, many different stakeholders from Turkey, from policy, research, innovation, industry, they kindly took part, they volunteered, they provided their support at the level of national level workshops, international level workshops. So without their support, we couldn't really reach this step. And many of you in this room also contributed to this plan. So as a part of this plan, or as a part of the implementation of the Black Sea Strategic Research Innovation Agenda, two Horizon 2020 projects has been operational since 2021. So one of them is Bridge Black Sea, another one is DOORS. So together, they actually represent a 20 million euro package implementing the Black Sea Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. So this is coming from the Horizon program, to which Turkey is contributing with the support of our, of course, TÜBİTAK and Ministry of Industry and Technology. So this particular project, it is very much related to the Decade Action Resilience. It is really about reaching a resilient ecosystem in the Black Sea, but most importantly, we are trying to still understand the limits of resilience in the Black Sea. What is a safe operating space in terms of ecology and the environment? We are trying to figure this out, which is a daunting task. So, and of course, we cannot do this alone. We have 31 partners from Black Sea countries, from European institutions in this project. In DOOR's project also, there are as many partners as well. So in these two projects from Turkey, there are 11 partners. So we are one of the most actively participating countries to these goals, truly collaborative effort, and the project already reached preliminary conclusions about the limits of our Black Sea ecosystem. So both the Marmot project, focusing on Marmara, Bridge Black Sea project, focusing on Black Sea, and of course, you are also leading many other projects in these ecosystems, also in the Mediterranean. They are, in a way, actually searching for the question of how life pushes planetary boundaries. We are actually facing the consequences of life, in this case, human life, the human populations, how we actually push nature to its limits. Oceans are becoming, of course, a big playground of this. And in this decade, as we move towards 2030s, this question is, of course, very relevant in the context of climate change as well. But another question now, where oceans are and ocean science is becoming very relevant, is the question of which planetary boundaries allow life. This is a very new question compared to the first question. But, for example, the new science of astrobiology is starting to deal with this question. And maybe many of you are familiar with NASA, very active in this question. But I believe these two questions are not very different from one another. And towards this idea of searching for life in our universe, especially in the solar system, why oceans are becoming so crucial? Because we have discovered, of course, NASA and ESA, European Space Agency, and NASA in the United States, they have discovered in our solar system these ocean-containing moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and also outer solar system as well, Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, Titan, Triton, and Enceladus. There are also many more. So all of these moons, they contain water, and some of them contain a lot more water than Earth. We always think about Earth as planet water, but these little moons, Europa, for example, it contains a lot more water than our planet itself. Most important for Europa and Enceladus, we know that there is a very, very deep, thick ocean, which is above freezing temperatures, and scientists think that there may be actually geothermal activity in the bottom of these oceans. There may be an active ocean circulation, which may hint at us that there may be conditions actually supporting primitive forms of life. And European Space Agency just a few weeks ago launched a mission, JUICE mission to Jupiter system, and NASA is launching the Europa Clipper mission next year, and all these missions will arrive to this ocean moon Europa in the beginning of 2030. So by the end of this decade, we will start to have new data and results from these ocean moons. And the exact aim of these missions is really to search for habitability of this ocean that is underneath Europa. So I just wanted to highlight that we are also now, as the Turkey oceanographer community, we are also contributing towards this problem. With the recently funded European Research Council project, we will search, actually we will explore some specific deep ocean habitats, because they may be the type of habitats that we may, in the very far future, we may find in these ocean moons as well. So we will be generating some crucial data from oceanographers' viewpoint, of course, which may be very crucial for the space people once they start to have their data from the space missions. So this ERC will run in this decade towards this aim. So ocean science, as Sigi also mentioned, we need to make our case better. Oceans are very crucial for climate crisis. We cannot really understand our planetary boundaries without understanding the oceans, without predicting the oceans. And also we cannot really understand if we are alone in the universe also without knowledge of oceanography. And to do this, we need more ocean scientists, more ocean professionals, not only scientists, but professionals on different fronts. We will also meet some of them in the last session. But with this, I would like to thank to all of our contributors to all these projects, our partners, stakeholders, and also our young scientists, who some of them are with us today. So thank you once again for coming to METU, being with us today, and hopefully we'll have a productive discussion now. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mustafa. I'm really impressed by this session, truly. I mean, what we have seen only within this first session is that we have touched all the decade challenges, and we even talked about all the priorities in terms of the ocean that we want. For example, what Murat and Rafet were showing, although they were very different disciplines, I think they are highly linked and contributing to management in terms of ecosystem-based management, and also supporting the plastic pollution studies that Ülgen was talking about. And at the end, of course, what Mustafa has shown, really, I mean, this planet and the oceans within as the life-supporting system, how, I mean, the extent of ocean studies and how it inspires us. And during the last 2 minutes, I would like to ask the speakers for 30 seconds to give their final remarks and how they see these studies here that we have been talking about, how they are connected, and if they have any ideas in terms of future vision, that would be great as well. So, Nazli.
Okay, it was a very inspiring session, but also the keynote speakers was the keynote speakers session also was great, and it is very nice to understand how Turkey contribute to ocean decade by scientifically. There are remarkable scientific studies in Turkey, and we also understand ministries has put lots of effort to provide sustainable ocean and provide our seas healthy. So it was so inspiring, and I need to again to remind that we need more science and policy integrated in this era. Thank you.
Yeah, as you said, even though these two branches are different, but it's somehow connected. So I believe that physical oceanography can provide prediction of the ocean states. So especially the ocean currents that help to for example, the plastics drift by the ocean currents, and also the fish somehow use the ocean currents. So it is necessary for these studies, and also it is also critically related with the ocean decade actions, which are the safe ocean, clean ocean. So I think it's helped to on this regard.
In my mind, I think in aquatic environment, our problems and resources are really intrinsically connected. If there is a conflict in the other side of the Black Sea, if there is a mine, it can be your problem in 2 weeks. If there is a fish that was hatched in the Romanian border, it might be your resources in Turkish coastline. So that being said, I think it's really important to have international cooperations, and also we need to integrate our different approaches to solve the challenging problems that we are facing because of our behavioral errors that we are having. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
We have one ocean, and this is really close interact with the continents and atmosphere. So we need to work multidisciplinary to reduce the stress on ocean, and these all speakers highlighting their fields and showing how a system interconnect with each other. For example, as Murat say, in plastic pollution, we need to know the accumulation areas of plastics, which is very difficult to predict by surging by boat. So we need innovative solution, new ways like the satellite or like the other ways. So yeah, we need to more also connect with community to increase the ocean literacy and also connect with businesses, sectors and policymakers. We have to fight as one. Thank you.
Thank you, Verşan. And Mustafa, last remarks from you.
Thank you. I agree with all the remarks that the speakers pointed out. I'd like to just again reiterate the point that I think we are in a very good position to start developing the digital twins for our seas. We have different expertise already existing, strengths, data sets, models, some of which were highlighted in this session, but in next session in the afternoon, also you will hear many other best practices. I think from our country's point of view, this is also expected from us. I mean, it's not a matter of competition or anything else, but as Turkey, the region in a way is looking at us, so we need to lead when opportunity arises and also help our neighbors or work with our neighboring countries and other neighboring sea basins as well, not only Mediterranean, also with the Atlantic community, Baltic Sea community, and learn from each other. But I think now it's time to really intensify our collaborations, both within ourselves and also with our policymakers. So, thank you.
Thanks a lot. I would like to thank all the speakers for all the efforts that they have put into preparing for this session, and the final remarks were also extremely critical. And now I give the floor to Pınar for some logistics information, I believe.
Yes, thank you, dear moderator and the speakers. Now we break for a very well-deserved lunch. We have a very light lunch for you, all vegetarian in the spirit of today's event. You can exit from the door on your right, and we'll reconvene 1:45, so 2:00 çeyrek kala. So we have 1 hour and 15 minutes. Please enjoy.